Hello, web accessibility heroes. Yes, you are a superhero because you are making applications accessible to all. So thank you. And let's continue helping people by making the password strength indicator web accessible. Displaying the password strength indicator with different color is awesome because it helps the sighted user understand how strong or weak their password is. But what about the non-sighted users or people with color blindness? Hi, I'm Skill Singh, and on this channel I help you build web accessible applications and share awesome UI and ADA tips. Let's try this. Just close your eyes and assume that you are typing a password, and now think of two things. First, how will you know what are the requirements for a strong password? And second, how will you know if your password is strong or not? Pause this video and type your answers in the comment section below. Here's what you can do. When you move your focus on the password input field, JAWS should announce what are the requirements to create a strong password, and second, make the screen reader announce the password strength when you stop typing. And for people with color blindness, you can display a copy text on the screen indicating the password strength. It's that easy. Now let's code together to make the password strength indicator web accessible. This page is having a simple text box for password followed by what are the password requirements. I have a simple form which is having a label and the input field followed by 4 different divs. So these divs are actually the strength indicator. So if I start typing, we will get to see these password strength indicators with different colors. And then this div is holding the password requirements. Now talking about the JavaScript that I have written a key app event handler on this text box, and I'm having a very basic switch wherein I'm just checking the length of the password that we are entering, but in the real world we have to use regular expressions and account for these password requirements. When the user starts typing and reaches this password text box field, we want to make sure of two things: that the user is notified that the password field is a required input box, and what requirements are needed to make a strong password. Now let's go back to our HTML. Let's start with the first thing to make sure that it is reading. It's a required field. So this star here symbolizes is required. If you go to our label section, within this we can have another span which will have a class screen reader only. So let's say is a required field and save this. So when the JAWS is running, it will also read this star. Now if you want, you can hide this using ARIA attributes. We'll say ARIA hyphen hidden and we can set it to true. So we are letting the JAWS or NVIDIA know that this element needs not to be read by them. So in our case, it will read password is a required field. Let's copy this ID. Okay, and this is our input for this password input field. Let's add another ARIA attribute which is ARIA labeled by and pass the ID here. So we are linking this label with this input and making sure that the assistive technologies such as JAWS or NVIDIA are reading the label present within the label password when focus moves here. Next, we need to make sure that these requirements are also read by JAWS. So let's scroll down. We have this ordered list and it is also having an ID. Let's copy this ID and come back to our input field, and within this area labeled by, you can pass multiple IDs or multiple different elements you can refer to. Now when the JAWS is running, it will read password is a required field followed by this list. Next, what we want to do is when a user starts typing, we are displaying the strength using different colors. Red is usually for the weakest, orange is for the moderate, and then green is for the strong password. Let's make this accessible for the people who are colorblind by adding a text with what is the strength of the password that they have entered. And for that, we have to use simple JavaScript. Now let's go to our JavaScript section. We have different cases within this switch, right? I'm using the password length for this video, but in real world scenarios, you have to use the actual regular expressions. So let's go back to our HTML section, and we want to display on top of this list. Okay, so let's create a div, and let's give the Bootstrap class and give and let's use the ID in this case. Let's give ID, and we'll say div password strength, and let's keep it empty for now. Okay, we need to update this div with some text which the people with color blindness can read. Okay, let's find that div. So I'll use the hash identifier since we are using ID, and then we have to set the text. So I can say, and we can add copy text here. We'll say please add more data. Let's start typing, and there you go. We have please add more data displayed on the page, which is helpful for people who are having the color blindness. And what we can do is we can add some space to it, top of 15 pixels, and then we'll have font weight of bold. Let's save this, and there you go. It has a bold font weight and has some margin from top. Now let's do it for the other cases that we have. Let's copy this section, okay, and put it here, and then for this section, and then finally for the strong section. Okay, now we need to update the text. So we'll say that this section is for the weakest section. We'll say your password is weak, and then let's copy this text and just replace it with the other sections. We'll say is medium, or let's use moderate, and then finally we have strong. Let's save this, and let's go to our browser and start typing. Let's stop. I'm typing really slow so that you can see it. It says please add more data. Once it crosses this less than 3 threshold, it's saying please your password is weak. When I start typing again, then it's updating it to your password is moderate, and finally we have your password is strong. So for people who are having color blindness, they are getting to see what is their password strength. The last thing that we need to add is we need to make sure that screen reader is announcing the password strength as and when they changes. Let's go back to our HTML, to this div, the one which we are using here for your password strength is strong, weak, or moderate. To this div we have to add aria-live, and we can set it to polite. Okay, what this does is whenever user stops typing or stops interacting with the web page, this div or this aria attribute will be triggered, and it will read out the content that we are adding to this div. Now let's run JAWS to have a listen what it reads out. Alright, I have my JAWS professional running, and let's have a listen what it reads for the password text box.
Password : is a required field. At least one lowercase letter, at least one uppercase letter, at least one digit, at least 8 characters in length, cannot be one of your last 5 passwords. Password edit.
So it's reading the password : is a required field, then followed by all this a list that we have. We can improve this. So let's go back to our HTML and look for this label. We made this star hidden using the aria hidden true, right? Let's move this colon from here and create a span. And for this we'll add an attribute aria hidden equals to true, and then we can give our colon here. Let's save this. Let's go to our browser and then have a listen.
Password is a required field. At least one lowercase letter, at least one uppercase letter, at least one digit, at least 8 characters in length, cannot be one of your last 5 passwords. Password edit. Type in text.
We modified the code and put this colon within the aria hidden, but we should add more meaningful text before it starts reading this entire thing, right? Following password requirements should be met met colon. Okay, now let's have a listen again to make sure that the user understands it really well.
Password is a required field. Following password requirements should be met: at least one lowercase letter, at least one uppercase letter, at least one digit, at least 8 characters in length, cannot be one of your last 5 passwords. Password edit. Type in text.
Now let's start typing and have a listen what JAWS announces.
Star. 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 Your password is weak. Star. Star. Your password is moderate. Star. 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 Your password is strong.
Well, that's how we make password strength indicator web accessible. This time let's do this. Why don't you create a different element which is re-enter form, and then you have to make sure that this re-enter password is web accessible. Let me know in the comment section how you did, and feel free to clarify your doubts. Thanks for watching this video. Please do me a favor by smashing that thumbs up button and comment what screen reader do you use. Is it JAWS or NVIDIA? See you in the next video. Till then, keep coding.